Yes, the leadership commanders, Phillip and Hector. These are guys that we run in the field, and we're going to go through this. So we're going to talk about the application for these guys. Phillip's been out in the game now for a year and a half. Hector has just come into the game a handful of months ago, and they provide some great value to the field marches. But we're going to get into this and see, are they still usable, especially on the Phillip side of things? How does this thing work? We're going to talk about leadership gear. This is everything leadership. What you need to know, what you need to run, what you need to look out for, and what you need to avoid. Oh, goodness. So stick around while we go through it right now. Hey everybody, I'm your boy War Daddy Chansky. I do videos for Rise of Kingdoms constantly as a sponsored Rise of Kingdoms content creator. And if you enjoy these videos, help us out. Throw a like on here. Really helps out the videos, helps out the channel. And if you have not subscribed, consider doing so. Hit that subscribe button, and you can hit that bell if you want to get any alerts when I put out content like this. And we're in the middle of our video giveaway, okay? And so for the month of April and May, excuse me, now that we're in May, we want to give away a $10 flux for every single video. All you got to do to enter to win is put a comment down in the description. Love interacting with our community, love engaging with everybody, and you're entered to win that $10 flux. All you got to do is put a comment down. And so from our previous video that just talked about the state of the cavalry in the future, we got this from Lakotas. Let's go. I currently run Gang Achilles and Joe and Arthur. I'm seriously considering adding the new Delta guy to Arthur. That's in reference to the next cavalry cycle that we'll have probably at the end of the summer. It's going to be a little while. And then he talked about making a third march for Attila. David, I'll have a card in the top about this video, but congratulations, Lakotas. You get the $10 flux, and appreciate you for everything and being a part of the community. So let's talk about this, right? Phillip came into the game back in, let's see, December of 2024. I had him expertise in January, so well over a year now that we've been working with our boy Phillip, right? And there's multiple uses for Phillip. They're probably one of the most common ones now is that when you come into Lost Canyon. Now this is on Sunset Canyon, but when you have 6 marches that you can go run. If you have 6 marches you can go run, a lot of people are running a situation to where they're running Phillip, even with archer gear, with Shajar. And it's a super tanky march. That's one thing that everybody really that's like the new hotness right now, the new trend in Canyon. I don't run that in my Sunset Canyon with only 5 marches, but in 6 marches, I definitely run that. And I finished first in our Lost Canyon of the previous KVK with the big one with 365, 3308, and 2359, and a lot of that had to do with me sniping at the end, but I stayed in first a lot of the times in that particular KVK in Lost Canyon. So when you're in a situation where you have Phillip, this is what you have to understand. We're starting to creep into that same realm we had with Trajan back in the day. Anybody that doesn't know, Trajan's been in the game for a very long time, right? He is approaching a 5-year-old commander for me specifically, and he was really good when he came out. He was good for a while. But what started to happen is power creep happened, and yes, it happened back then, 4 and 5 years ago. Trajan started falling off, and you absolutely knew that if you were going to run Trajan in the field, you were going to take bad traits. That's just the way it was. The way his kit's set up doesn't do a lot of damage, but he is a buffing commander like crazy. One of the best buffing commanders we've ever seen in this game. And you had to trust that your other marches did really, really well. Well, Phillip is not quite there yet because he's still powerful enough to help you get decent trades, but he's starting to get into that Trajan realm, if you will, where your Phillip march is going to be probably your least effective trading march, okay? He's starting to fall off there. So you have to trust that his buffing is overcompensating for it. And in large part, it is. Like, when I put 5 marches in the field and I don't run a Phillip, collectively, all those marches will trade better when I've got a Phillip in the field, which just makes sense. That's what he does. He's an AoE buffer and debuffer. That's how he does this. And so from there is great utility with Phillip even to today, especially if you're running multiple marches. Now, when it came to Phillip being your makeshift guy, where you could go move him around from infantry to cavalry, you could put him behind Luce. He's got good synergies with Luce. You could put him behind cavalry, of course. We talked about it with Arthur for a long time. People still run that today. Like, you could still do a lot of different things with Phillip. I even jack around and put him with Shajar when I'm trying to lay out a whole bunch of normal damage debuffs or normal damage buffs to my other marches that are smite and combo. So you can do some things with Phillip and still be massively effective, okay? But from the most part, we're getting so specific with the infantry and the cavalry and the archers. Okay, we're about to get Alp Arslan, who's about to be released in the game for archers, and we fully project that he's going to be a 2-march setup with like a Chen YSG or a Chen Zuge and a Herman with the new guy Alp Arslan. Okay, so that's kind of what we see for our archers. For infantry, you got loads of smite commanders between Sun Tzu, Luce, BQ. Let's see, we've got William Wallace, you got CJ you could even run. That tends to, if you're running like 3 infantry marches, that tends to be the place that you want to use a Phillip, right? And the same thing with cavalry. Now, cavalry's kind of all over the place right now because a lot of people like me are still upgrading to a Wedge 2.0 and still running a skill damage cav, okay? And so running like a Joan with Arthur and then moving gang with Achilles and then running like an Attila. I'm the inventor of the Attila Phillip. The Attila Phillip, for whatever reason, was always just a good, solid march. Like, it's a set it and forget it. It's going to trade good, never going to trade like phenomenal, amazing, like your Chin or your Sun Tzu, but it never trades bad. And it just can't. With all the all damage that it does, the damage bonuses that it does, and the second procs that Phillip does, along with Attila in the normal damage he does, and then the all damage he does, even if it gets swarmed down, it's going to do really well. So you got to treat that as like a buffing march. And that's what, 3 cav players, 3 marches for people who run that for cavalry. Attila Phillip has always been really, really good, trusting that Phillip is buffing your other marches and not really hiding him, but kind of protecting him with Attila. So there's still serviceability to today with Phillip, and I want to run that, okay? So from there, we want to get in a situation to where we try to understand how this works with not only Phillip, but also with Hector. Guys, Hector is the most versatile commander we have ever had in the game. Like, we get like that Phillip you can run behind anybody, and especially when he came out, so effective and being able to bridge the gap while you worked on other commanders. But Hector's different. Hector obviously does the smite damage as an infantry commander, does the combo damage as a cav commander, and does the direct damage as a skill damage commander. And Hector's just really, really good with that versatility. What also makes Hector so versatile is that all of his skills work in a garrison. That's why we've been running him with Gorgo. And he's crazy good with David, running a David Hector garrison. And with the new Archer garrison release coming this week with Hayek, Hayem is going to be in a situation to where this guy is insane with him on doing damage to the rallies, okay? Because he does a bunch of skill damage and you enhance that pretty good. And so from there, Hector's just so versatile. Now, he's different than Phillip because he doesn't do the buffing and the debuffing. So your marches are going to trade better with Hector. Definitely going to trade better. If you put Hector behind Arthur, I did it all last KVK. The last 2 KVKs trades really, really well compared to Phillip. All right, so you lose some of that buffing, but you gain the effectiveness of the actual march. I love putting Hector behind BQ. Worked insanely well. Like, I would go run 3 infantry with Sun Tzu and William Wallace, and then I would put BQ with Hector, and then I'd put Phillip behind my my Luce. Or I could put CJ behind Luce and then run Phillip somewhere else. There's all kinds of different ways. But Hector now being in the game, hold on. Let me come over here to this guy. Hector now being in the game for what? This is just going on, 5 or 6 months now? Since November of 2025. And so he is what leadership is all about. Make it versatile. You can run it with anywhere, make it powerful enough to be able to trade really well. And that's what Hector provides us. So if you had to pick between the two nowadays, I would probably lean towards Hector because you can use him in so many different areas. People use him in their city defense. It's really, really good. And so if you're not a Garrison player, then you've got to use him in the field. Then there's other applications to do that. I'm not saying to go must max Hector by any means, or even after so much time to must max Phillip, but Hector absolutely does really, really well when he gets paired as a smite commander with infantry, as a combo commander with calves. He's got an instant proc for his combo command, or his third skill for calves. That's what I really like. Like an Arthur Hector is like a rapid fire Gatling gun, man. It just fires off combos, instant procs all the time with Arthur's instant procs, and you can really maximize the Delta formation when it comes to that, okay? And so those are your applications with leadership. But eventually, as we get more and more commanders, these two guys are going to start falling off. All right, if you're still in the Phillip gang and you want to run that for a buffing march, you can find ways to do that, especially if you're running 5, 6, or 7 marches. Okay, same thing with Hector. He's like your makeshift guy. He's your utility guy. You can put him anywhere. Okay, you can put him behind. You can put him behind any of your infantry. You can put him behind your cavalry for combo. You can even put him behind your archers, and that'll be something we play around with as we get all Arslan in the game. And a lot more people are going to go to two archer marches now, since really most of us have just been running one with Chin. So from that standpoint, it is really good to kind of see Hector's versatility when it comes to that. So for our next leadership commander, what do we get? Do we get another buffing one? I don't think in the next round of MGEs. Now, they've told us from VIP support that we're going to get a leadership and siege commander for the next round after the archer cycle. Okay, if we get that, we're more than likely going to get a leadership garrison. They're not going to give us another leadership field. Now, what might happen, because they're coming out with the new KVK format that's supposed to give us another archer commander, they might release yet another leadership commander for the field to go along with that, like they did with Hector when they released Achilles. Okay, and so from that standpoint, there are other ways that they can probably give us field leadership commanders, but that's kind of how that thing works out. I don't see it becoming on the next MGE or in any kind of cycles anytime soon. So we might be stuck with Hector and Phillip for a while now in the field when it comes to leadership. Okay, and you can still use those guys. You're going to be using them for a while, but they're going to slowly fade out. And if we get another one down the road, I would much rather have one like Hector that does versatility with the different damage he does, so you can have good reports, you can put him with different commanders, than I would Phillip for the buffing. Love the buffing, don't get me wrong, but these commanders typically fall off faster because it's almost like a placebo effect. Like when you see that your Phillip March is not trading well, you don't want to run them. We ran the same thing with Trajan back in the day. Like I said earlier, when he started giving bad reports, we kind of just stopped running them in the field. It was just a hospital bill. Even though we knew and had to trust that he was helping out all of our other marches, he eventually fell off. Okay, and so from there, let's talk about the gear, shall we? Because I have never subscribed to the leadership gear. Now, I have made a massive mistake by critting infantry gear for leadership. Hey, yo, why would I do that? Well, back 4 years ago when I started in on this, that was like in preparation for maybe having another Trajan type march. I liked infantry. I knew it worked well. Plus I loved it for Canyon, but it just hadn't turned out. Like this set, like literally won't be used next KVK with all Arslan. It'll be used on my garrison for my city. And if we have to do like some kind of makeshift crazy mixed garrison for a flag, I can use it, but I got to be heavy infantry. And so don't do this. Okay. Whatever you do, don't do this. Now, the other way to go about this is to look at the leadership set. people, even to today, I get asked all the time, like, Chadsky, I want to run a leadership set. And it's just like, guys, that's not the play. That's not the way to go. Okay. Because leadership commanders by and large have been put in the game for the field to be secondary commanders. And running this, you're going to give up stats. Now, you get all troop health and it can be very versatile, but you just give up so many stats. Now, before the new Crystal Tech came out a few months ago, okay, we're actually going to buff health and defense more from that Crystal Tech and KVK. Before that, these two pieces right here for infantry were like the meta. Getting the health on the pants and the boots, you were willing to give up the defense here on your eternal boots, and then you were also willing to give up the defense on the Hope Cloak to exchange that for health. Or I'm sorry, the defense on the Eternal Night Greaves, okay, in exchange for the health that you got on the pants and the boots, because infantry desperately needed health. Well, now that we have the health in the Crystal Tech that we have now, these are much less important. Okay, you don't have to mess with these too much. Like, players still have them, but you don't have to mess with them too much. Now, the gloves are a little bit different because the gloves are the only gloves, okay? All of these glove sets for all the different equipment sets do a march speed mitigation, right? Okay, they slow the enemy on tier 5. That's what they do. Now, the gloves for leadership are totally different. These are the only ones that actually has a debuff on the target that's not a slow. All right, you have a 10% chance to reduce the attacker's attack by 2% for 3 seconds, can stack up to 3 times. You get that critted, that's like almost a 3%, 2.5% to 3%. All right, so that's really kind of giving you a little bit of an edge, so you can use this. And I think for the archer high-end garrisons and rallies, we still like to run the gloves with the greaves, the pants, and you can do that 2-2-2 setup for archer rallies and garrisons. But in the field, just go easy. Go 6-piece setup for your archers. Just aim for that, because the 4-piece and 6-piece buffs are just so good. Skill damage 3%, which is great, golly, and then archer health 5%. That's what you want to do. So I just stay away from this stuff. I don't mess with it. And so with that, the game has told us they get very troop type specific. And now with the different types of damage that all 3 troop types do, you can't even run like artifact KVKs aren't even as fun to run. Because we've got skill damage here, we've got smite damage here, smite here, skill damage, we've got combo damage, combo damage, combo damage. We want to stick with the specific troop types. Now, there are fun KVKs like the Song of Troy, where Achilles changes his skill set to where he's a skill damage commander with that artifact they give him in that particular KVK. You could run him behind Chin, or he becomes a smite commander. You can run him behind BQ. We did that. It was crazy. But for the most part, everything becomes troop specific. And when it is, that's where you get into a situation to where you don't want to jack with leadership equipment. You want to stay centric to what you're doing. And so that's the recommendation there. So that gives you kind of an idea of where we are right now with Phillip, with Hector, with the leadership gear and everything that we're doing. So if you enjoyed this video, please throw a thumbs up on it. Give it a like. Also, my Discord link is down in the description. You can join my Discord, where a lot of these conversations come up, and everybody loves to share their reports, what they're doing, have those discussions with that. And with that being said, y'all have a great day, broskies.